Hey guys, how's it going? The Fuzz is here. We're gonna have a little discussion about the future of Spellweaver, the very near future, specifically concerning the expansion. I originally had a video that I was going to do about Shamans and how they could potentially become broken. Well, I realized there's much more than just Shamans that could really get out of hand. So I've compiled a list of some cards and some concepts that I think we definitely have to watch out for in the future, because they could very, very easily get out of control and become like the next broken thing, right? You know, replace the current ridiculous decks with like future ridiculous decks. Anyways, let's start off with an easy one. Burning Rage. We all talked about this. We all know this card has to be changed. The potential for game breakingness with this one is so big that almost any rage spell, unless it's absolute garbage, which it's not going to be because the developers are not going to make garbage spells just to keep this not broken, this will have to change. So I don't think we have to worry about Burning Rage because it's almost definitely going to be nerfed. Now, moving on to some other things. Speaking of Shamans, the reason I want to bring up Shamans is because of this little dude. Wolf Tongue, as I like to call him, Wolf Broke. He's a Shaman, and he's an amazing card already. So I tried out a deck with him. I played Kayano and Nature just for him, and it's actually not bad at all. Getting this guy out via Kayano and him getting like Swift with the totems is crazy. And because of just how generally good he is, the Shamans tend to be kind of bad, with some exceptions, and that's what's keeping them balanced. Well, they're supposed to have powerful synergy with the totems. This guy is not bad. It's an excellent card. So I think Shamans are like one cost Shaman away from breaking the game, if they got something like that. But it's not just the Shamans, it's the totems, I think, are starting to become a little bit obnoxious. Lightning Totem is possibly the worst offender, because once you get like two of these going on the board, it's like you thought Electrostatic Storm was annoying. You have no idea. You try to play anything, they play a Shaman, kill your creature for free basically, and then those things probably have Swift. So I think the totems might need to be tuned up a little bit. As far as this one goes, I would like to see it only do 1 damage, but maybe make it cost 2 mana, so it's easier to put out, but it's less devastating when you activate it. If it's only doing 1 damage, it's probably gonna be okay, but 2 damage is a lot. If you play a Disciple of Zash, you basically have a 3 damage instant clear, kind of like a fireball, for 1 mana, right? So yeah, already the deck is pretty good from what I've played with it. It has some issues. It's not like it's amazing, but it's, with any more Shamans or totems, it could easily become broken, especially because of the Swiftness totems, which gives all your guys Swift. That's really, really dangerous. Mass Swift, as always, has the potential for brokenness, basically. So yeah, even though I love Shamans, I don't want Shamans to be cancerous, and they sometimes can be, especially if you play it against like a newer player. Oh my god, it's just cruel. It feels cruel, because you just destroy them, because they just can't possibly do anything. Even if they have artifact removal, they can never kill all your totems. The Legends totem, the one that draws cards, I think is fine, but the other two are a little bit dangerous. Moving on to other tribes, Angels are a tribe that have always been missing, like, just more guys. They only have 3 Angels, and the Protector of the Innocent is so bad that Angel players had just cut him out completely. They only run Antriel and Guardian, and even though that cuts your chances of hero power success to maybe like 50%, that's still not too bad. But if they were gonna get another really good Angel, this hero power could easily become ridiculous. So I think if Angels do get added, they would have to be a little bit cheaper, because if you get a Guardian of the Faithful out of it, it's also a 3-aspect 3-mana card, so it's more like you drew a card for 0. That's not a big deal. But getting Antriel is pretty ridiculous. So if we see Angels, I don't want them to be ridiculously large. I would like to see some smaller ones with smaller effects. It'd be cool if this hero power, you know, was playable. But at the same time, because it only has a cooldown of 2, basically guaranteeing an Angel on the board is a bit dangerous. But if the Angels are smaller, you know, if you get a smaller Angel for 3 mana, it's I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But the threat is always there. Also, Triangelica probably is the bigger problem, because getting 3 angels on the board, well, if you have more angels, and if they're cheap, it could be a real problem. In fact, moving right along to another thing that could be broken, basic Despina. While we're on the subject of angels, if let's say a 2-mana angel was added, it will be possible to try Angelica so much easier just by using those guys, especially since those angels could be instilled on the board. So it feels like the design space for angels is limited. It's like they have to be big, but not too big. Like, they can't be Antriel sized, really, because of the threat of putting them on the board at a lower cost. But they can't be too cheap because of the threat of this and Triangelica. We'll see what happens. We'll see just how many angels we get. But 1 or 2 angels that are good could be all that it takes. And as far as Despina herself, this hero power has always been kind of broken if you think about it. And recently we have gotten better at using it. Vamplamp, for instance, makes a pretty good use out of it by having those, you know, Cataclysm, clear the board, refresh hero power, and play like a Lamp and a Vamp. You know, you not only clear the board, you already set up a powerful follow-up on the next turn. Stuff like this can happen. Also, you know, 1 turn kills with Red Dragon, and again with Angels. All this sort of thing is only threatening to become more and more dangerous as there are more cards. I think at the end of the day, I'd like to see this probably slightly reworked. You could make this cost less mana, but if you do refill your mana, there has to be some downside to it. Like, you can't maybe deal any damage to your opponent for this turn. I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I am worried that Despina is going to be it's going to truly earn the name that it has from some players, the Derpina, as some people call her. Anyways, moving right along, we've got the Spoiled Aristocrat. Why am I talking about Spoiled Aristocrat? Well, it's because the Minion recently got not 1, but 2 really cheap early game cards, that being the Baseborn Recruit and the Slave Gladiator. Now, Aristocrat has always been kind of OP in my mind, because 3 attack on turn 1 is completely insane. And the downside that it can't attack or block until you play another creature is basically meaningless, because you're always going to have something to play. Now, you got another 1-drop, which maybe isn't as obnoxious, but it's something you can put into your deck to have another option if you don't draw an Aristocrat. But the bigger issue is the Slave Gladiator. Because it costs 0 mana, it could be really, really easy to do something obnoxious with. Just as a suggestion, somebody posted this in one of my videos. Turn 1, you play an Aristocrat. Turn 2, you go up a Nature Aspect. That's assuming you have the Spark. You play a second Aristocrat, 2 Slave Gladiators, pop the Spark, and Swift, and you do 10 damage. Good times, right? I'm basically worried that this is going to become the next Goblin Cancer. I am already bitching a lot about Goblin Warriors and Lizards beating your face in way too much. This could become exactly the same thing. You already got a ridiculous 1-drop with Aristocrat, and now you got a 0-drop, basically. And that's a 0-drop that's immune to Harpy as well. Good time. The Slave tag is limiting a little bit, but chances are you're not going to run any other Slaves, so unless you draw like 3 of these and no other early game, you're not going to have a problem. So I wonder if this super aggro, maybe basic Nava Dominion beatdown deck could be a thing, but I really hope it isn't, because I just don't like these kinds of decks. So Aristocrat, I feel like he's got to have a bigger downside than this. It should be something like it cannot attack unless like you attack with another creature, at the very least. That way he's not just like beating your face in from turn 1, because my god, if your opponent opens with 3 of these, you just, most of the time, you just straight up lose. Because you're going to take 3 damage immediately, and then another 9. And unless you have a ridiculously good early game yourself, you just die. You die. The only redeeming factor, really, is the fact that the Minion doesn't really have burst. Besides, you know, maybe playing basic Neva and swifting a bunch of stuff. But that's only every 4 turns. Whereas with Rage, you know, you've got fireballs and stuff to finish off your opponent if your board got cleared. Whereas with the Minion, if your board gets cleared, it's a bit harder to finish them off. But you do have Overchargers. And putting an Overcharger on this, or on this, pretty nasty. Not only are you getting a colossal power boost, probably free killing one of your opponent's creatures, you're also doing additional face damage. So I really hope this doesn't become an issue. Moving on, Nava the Revered. Oh my god. We've seen just how ridiculous she can be with hate bears, and because hate bears don't specifically need any creatures, well, maybe Sculptor, any decent 2-mana cost card, something on the caliber of Cavalry Field Captain, could just make this more and more obnoxious, and that's what I don't want to see. The card draw potential with this is just ridiculous, considering that you're combining it with basically discounted creatures. You're playing discounted creatures and drawing cards, and this hero power only gets more ridiculous as the game goes on, because maybe the first time you activate it, you only drew 2 cards. The second time, maybe you'll draw 4 cards, and then 6. And it's just, your opponent can never keep up, because they Cataclysm and you play 6 more creatures. And Sculptor just compounds the problem further. So I do think, I would like to see Reverence to be better earlier in the game, but way worse later. Like, cap the card draw at something. Yeah, maybe they could make it cost 1 mana again, but get rid of the discount on the creatures, because it's just insane playing guys for 1 mana and possibly capping the card draw at like 3 or something. I mean, if you draw 3 cards, it's pretty nice, right? So that's what I think about this. Another faction or tribe, also going back to Mr. Wolftongue, is the Elves. Yes, he's an elf as well, because, you know, why have only 1 tag when you can have 2? The idea of getting this guy off for free with Nienna seems absolutely insane to me, and this is just the first elf we saw. There is bound to be more, and any good elves just make Nienna better. We nerfed Haldiri Rider, right? Because we thought it was really powerful. Well, we are giving them more and more powerful elves, starting with this one, and I don't know how many elves it would take to make them really good again, but hey, you never know. Also, wolves. I don't know if there's going to be any more wolves, but if there is like ways to get like wolf tokens, Wolftongue could easily just completely break the game. I mean, if you have a couple wolves and they all get +2/2 and swift suddenly because you have 4 aspects, that's completely game breaking. So possibly limit the wolves. I mean, just Silverfang alone is already really good, but anyways. Moving on, we've got demons. Demons are always basically based on Dark Portal. An absolutely insane card, limited by the fact that the life you lose is a big deal. So, we know demons are coming, we know Bezarok is coming, and you take a card like Nightbringer, which is a 1/1 flyer with 2 speed, not playable in any deck, but demons run 4 of it, because with Dark Portal, it becomes pretty good. For a demon to not be playable with Dark Portal, it would have to be inconceivably horrible. And I don't think the developers want to make such bad demons that they can't be played in anywhere except Dark Portal. It's kind of the same thing as Burning Rage. Not as bad because, you know, you don't have to make something a demon. If something is really powerful, just don't make it a demon. But the fact of the matter is, right now the demons run all the demons they can. They might not run 4 copies of everything, but they want to have every kind of demon for, you know, different situations. If they get any demons that have, you know, utility effects, anything that could help with Dark Portal could break them instantly because of just how insane Dark Portal is. The ability to search for free every turn and the mana discount combined is just crazy. And again, the only thing keeping them in check is that, you know, the life gain, the life loss is a problem, and you actually have to work to not kill yourself with Portal. So we'll have to see how that goes in the future. That's basically all I wanted to cover. There may be other things, but these I thought were the most pressing. Now, don't get me wrong, I would like all these things to be good. I want Shamans to be good and playable. I want Demons to be good and playable. I want, you know, Elves. I want everything. But I don't want any of these things to take over the meta. So it's going to be an interesting balancing act to see what we can do. Thankfully, in a lot of these cases, the issue is easy to pinpoint. Like Dark Portal, if Demons do become a problem, the easiest thing to do is just to nerf Portal a little bit, instead of like nerfing individual demons. For the same reason that you want to nerf Burning Rage instead of nerfing rage spells, because whenever you do nerfs to anything, you want to do it by nerfing as few things as possible. If one card is causing a problem like Burning Rage, just tune it up a little bit, problem solved. Whereas trying to balance all the other things around it is just, it would just be not worth the effort. So a redesign to Dark Portal may eventually be in order if there's more demons and they're any good. I think we may have to see something like that, but I'm okay with that. I just want this card to stay. It is my favorite card in the game. It's so cool because of the high risk, high reward. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what other things you think could be broken. Maybe other hero powers I didn't mention. Again, I didn't want to go over every single thing. I just kind of put up a list of things that came to my mind right away. So let me know. And yeah, we'll see what happens. We've seen 7 cards so far. All of them have been really cool. Really cool. I think without exception, every single card released so far has been really cool. So keep it up, developers, and we want to see more awesome cards, but we don't want them to break the game. So I'll see you guys next time.